Missions by
Hi, welcome back for another episode of Missions by You. We're doing a special series of nonprofits doing work in the French Quarter. I've got my great co-host with me, Scott Tilton of the New Foundation, and our guest, Alexis Marceaux of Lafitte Greenway Partnership, their Director of Community Programming.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming in. We're really excited to talk all things Lafitte Greenway. So, what is Lafitte Greenway and what is your mission?
Yeah, so the Lafitte Greenway is a 2.6-mile linear park, walking, biking path that goes from Mid-City all the way to the French Quarter. So we connect 6 different neighborhoods. Our mission is to build, program, and promote the Lafitte Greenway as a great public space. So we are a park, but we do all kinds of things throughout the year, annual programming, a lot of environmental work as well.
And it's a former train trestle? Is that the
Yeah, it's a former railroad corridor, is what I like to say. And a lot of community members got together after Katrina and started hiking it and saying, like, this could be a greenway. This could be a park. You know, this should be not this blighted, space. And so they started kind of petitioning through the city and through like grassroots organizing and built it in 2015. And so we're in the 10-year anniversary actually this year for the Greenway, and all because of community members coming together and speaking out on something that they wanted. So
that's amazing. And I mean, you're talking about the 6 neighborhoods that y'all go through, which is pretty amazing to think that kind of linear shot through New Orleans.
Yes, it's really cool. And you can feel like one day I want to put signage that like we're entering each neighborhood, because you feel like the diversity and differences throughout each space. And you sort of like celebrate it in your mind, but I want to celebrate it like visually too, I think one day. So, but it feels like, you're in from the heart of the city all the way to the quarter. You feel like a presence of different energies, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and you're in light of those 6 neighborhoods, like how are y'all engaging the communities around them? And
yeah, that's great. Great question, because we do a lot of programming, and we think of our programming as the neighborhoods and where they orient. So we do like movies in the park in the Treme, and we have those residents come out and they can walk to it, and they can walk to the baseball field where we blow up this big giant movie screen, and that's like one of their favorite programs over there. And then in Mid-City by the Bayou, we can do stuff on that plaza that's by Parkway Po' Boys, and we can partner with the farmers market. And so we do a lot of art market stuff in Mid-City, and we do farmers markets and things like that over there. And so yeah, within each neighborhood, we kind of cater to most of our programming's free. We try to keep everything free. But we like to, over time, we've created these like heartwarming, like they can count on it annual programs that exist throughout each neighborhood. It's pretty great.
Yeah. One of your bigger events that you guys do is Supernova, correct?
Yes. Supernova, we're going on our 6th year doing this festival. It's a light art and music festival. And so we hire 10 plus visual artists to create temporary exhibits throughout the space near the bayou. So Norman C. Francis and the Greenway. And they create those pieces. They are just there for the weekend. And then we hire local musicians to play all throughout the weekend. So it's a music and art festival. And on top of that, we have an art market within it too. So we have vendors selling their arts and crafts. And on the Thursday, we join forces with the Crescent City Farmers Market. So the Farmers Market is like within it as well on that Thursday. So it's pretty bustling. It feels like kind of like a elevated block party in some ways. It's like a neighborhood vibe, but like a festival.
Yeah,
so it's really fun.
How does that event kind of help emerging artists? Because you guys do start with a lot of like smaller artists and small visual artists and musician artists, right?
Yeah, and when I came on, one of my goals as a musician coming into this role was giving emerging artists like a platform. When I was a young budding songwriter, there was not that many options of places to play other than like coffee shops or like, getting your toes wet in like the small venues, but not really knowing like how to go about it. And so I love that Supernova has become this like emerging artist incubator. And so we'll have musicians young budding musicians that maybe it's their first time playing a festival, doing the festival, and then they go on, and we have a kind of a cool track record of they'll go on within the next year or two to play French Quarter Fest or Jazz Fest, and it's because Supernova kind of is that like stepping stone for them. They can like learn from it, and same for the art vendors. It's some of their first time vending at an art market, and for the light artists as well, the visual artists that they want to create pieces, but maybe they haven't written a proposal for a piece to, submit to an RFP. And so it's their first time submitting an application like that process.
Yeah,
so, and we've, when I first came on, there was a very little process, but we've slowly made the structure for the submittal process. And it's really, it's great. It's a great learning tool. And then, like I said, a lot of these, even the light artists, some of them started with like a sunflower that lit up in a tree, and now one of those artists, Josh Pitts, has a 19-foot version of that, and he started it at Supernova, and now it lives on the Greenway in its permanent home. But it like toured the country for a second. It had like a home at the convention center, but now it's permanently located through our partnership with Arts New Orleans on the Greenway. And so you can see the like full circle parts of our programming, like Supernova, where they're really just trying stuff out, and then it really uplifts them and gets them in a better place the next year and the next year. So
there was a study that came out recently, but for y'all's 10th year, that the economic investment in the city was like $300 million or something incredible like that. Where do we see some of what are some of the benefits that it's brought?
Yeah, I mean, I think business owners want to be there now, and we talk to them. We have 500,000 annual visits at the Greenway per year. That's 1,000 a day, and that number goes up to 4,000 during Mardi Gras and festival season. And so I think the business owners that when they chose even some of them years ago to go there, they saw the potential in it, and now they're seeing the actual bodies in return. ROI is real for them. Flower Moon Bagels, Hay Coffee. There was no coffee shops in the neighborhood, and now everyone I know goes to Hay over there. And luckily I do too. My office is right there, and I'm like, cool, we can get our caffeine on. But I think a lot of business owners see the potential in it, and have seen like how it's uplifted the community too. Like neighborhoods that were like within the Greenway space, some of it was like abandoned warehouses from Katrina, and now it's all developing because the Greenway got built. And so it's kind of exciting to see, and people are still choosing to build in the space. We just had a business owner that he built a bridge from the neighborhood because from Broad to the bayou, there's not a lot of connectivity. And so the city built a bridge because people were climbing over the canal and it wasn't safe. They finally built a bridge in between that space so people can connect from the neighborhood onto the Greenway because they saw the need. And so then within a year or two of that happening, a business owner built a gym in an apartment building in that space and saw the need for the neighborhood to connect. And so he funded the bridge because he saw the benefits of the connectivity. And so that alone shows you economic development is really happening, because if a business owner is choosing to fund a bridge for the community, that it's all about connection.
That's awesome.
Wow, that is really cool. I love that we're talking about how this changes the landscape of these neighborhoods, because when you talk about Broad and businesses that weren't there before, and you said that's an apartment building. So living all the accessibility that it's bringing to that area of the city.
Absolutely. And you can see people commuting from mid-city with their guitar on their back to go play in the French Quarter, and you can see it's being used as a commuting space and as transportation hub, and it's made the city better because of that. It's a huge asset.
So putting on a different hat, as a musician, you recently collaborated with us at the New Foundation to produce music.
Yes.
Do you mind talking about your contribution to the album and just
Absolutely.
sort of what was your experience?
Yeah, it was an incredible experience. But first of all, we got to do it in Esplanade Studios, which is a beautiful space. And we felt honored to be part of such an incredible project where all of these, other Francophone bands that we love were part of it too. We were like, really, us too? We were so excited to just be part of it. And the recording process was really fun. We love playing live, and to be able to have a live recording of two of our favorite songs as a band on vinyl now and amongst these other legendary artists was just an incredible experience.
Awesome.
Amazing. It's also one of my favorite songs. Mon Esprit.
Yes. Thank you.
Why do you think music is such a great medium to preserve because we're talking about that French language and just preserve history?
Yeah, I think growing up as a kid here, it's just French was all around, but I felt like a little disconnected from it because of our grandparents' generation and how their first language was French, but realizing there was like this generation that was skipped, which is our parents, and we weren't able to we knew there was a connection, but we knew we were proud of it, but me and Sam, my bandmate, would like relate to like how we felt like why aren't we bilingual, and what happened there? What happened in our history that we can't be bilingual right out of the gate? And for a lot of people, they their family members taught them the French, and that's great. But some of us weren't so lucky. And so when we were like bonding over the fact that we had this heritage and this lineage, we were like saying that the music itself, we admired it, but we wanted a version of it for like our generation, like a fun poppy, like wild and out version of it. And so, and we thought that other kids our age would relate to that if it was like a fun dancey song, but in their like native tongue, that they would get it behind it. And we didn't know if it would work, honestly, but we just went for it, and it 11 years later, it's kind of still working. So I don't know if that answers the question, but I think like in general, we wanted to fill this hole just for ourselves in a small way, but other people are doing it too. And we saw other people like Lost Bayou Ramblers doing it in their own way. And we were like, well, they're like inspiration to us, and they're like iconic. And can we do that too with our own spin on it? And actually Louis was one of those people that gave us the seal of approval from the beginning. And he was like, you can do it. I did it. You can do it. And we were like, okay, if he says we can do it, we can do it. And so, we owe a lot to him to give us that encouragement in the beginning, because we were kind of scared and didn't know if it was going to work. And again, years later, we're here still doing it. And I think it's really fun. And if people don't even necessarily come from that background and they hear French, it still makes them a little light bulb go off and they're singing in a different language. What language is that? And then they might look up the history of Louisiana French in the city, in the state, and realize it's really rooted, and this whole city is rooted in the French language. And so then in turn they're educating themselves and others through music. And I think that's why music can go a long way. It speaks. You can listen to it, but especially in this case with music, it's like we're trying to preserve it in our own. Every band on the album is preserving it in their own fun, modern way. And but we look to our elders when they were doing it too, and said, "Wow, they're doing it. We can do it too." Like years later. So
I love that, because I think of Louis kind of speaks on that in his first documentary, talking about like losing that generation that lost it.
Yeah.
And so my sister always talk about listening to the radio at my grandmother's house in French, but like nobody spoke French in our family.
Right.
And how we just kind of like lost it, but we're getting back to this in our own fun ways. And so you make it more accessible for people like me, who's like, I didn't really grow up speaking French. I know there's a connection, but this is a way I can experience that
absolutely
language.
And even for myself personally, like I'm not completely conversational. Reading and writing is easier for me, but I still feel so connected to my roots because I get to sing in it all the time. And luckily my bandmate is fluent in it, and he can be the leader of it, but I still feel so connected when I get to play the music in a way that's just like out of body, and so when I was a kid, when my great-grandmother was alive, she was only speaking to me in French because she didn't know English. And so I was speaking it till I was 6, but then when she died, that's when I lost it. And so that was really the moment when I started connecting those dots when I was getting older, and just realizing just because my big mama is gone, I can't learn this language. And, it felt sad and tragic.
Yeah.
And so I think, like you said, like you have roots in it too, and it made you want to just be prideful for those moments. And that's how I feel when I get to perform it all the time. And it's just like it's like I go somewhere else because it's within me.
Yeah, it brings us all connected. Brings us all back to community.
That's exactly right. And what I love is, you think about Sweet Crude, y'all respect the canon of all this music that's coming from, but also y'all are updating it and really making a splash. I mean, y'all are like rock stars in Louisiana and Canada and all these different places. And oftentimes, even the work that we do, people will reference y'all as their point of reference for music in Louisiana.
That's the point, right? Like we just want to keep the conversation going. And when we go to Canada and places like New Brunswick in general, like or specifically like Moncton, where they have their own dialect of French, but it's almost like you time travel in a way, or like if you could put yourself in their shoes, but growing up where they grew up, where the language was not lost in the way it was lost here, or skipped a generation, they're all bilingual. And so I think like going there gives us even more like encouragement to keep it going, because they're all bilingual over there, singing in their own dialect, playing music in their own in their own way. But here it's even more important because we have access to the last generation of French speakers in Louisiana for not much longer, and so if we can preserve it through our music, then we will.
We talk about that often, that if in Louisiana, for over 250 of our 300-year history, a plurality or even a majority spoke this language, and then we've lost it over a short span, we haven't been able to translate all of it. Right. So it's a really easy way to tell people that they have no history, that they have no language.
Exactly.
So it's really great that y'all are, I think of Parle Nous à Boire, that is like a classic song, but y'all update it, add y'all's imprint on it, and then suddenly it's a point of reference for a whole new generation to relate to that music. And that's phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think that's where we are going again. It's like full circle in the band life. Right now we're working on a brand new album, and it's going back to our own roots in that sense, where we're taking all of these old Cajun songs that we loved as kids, and a lot of people just know because it's the go-to top 40 Cajun hits. And then we're just completely making it our own. And we want to tell the story, though, this time. Versus, here's this cool song that we just played around with, and it's an old Cajun song. That's in the story, right? But in this album, we're going to tell the story of the original, and you'll hear a snippet, and then you'll hear our version. And so it'll really hone in on the mission of the band, and I think that's where we're getting excited to actually tell the story more. Now that we've been a band for over a decade, we feel like we have the permissions, I guess, and it's kind of fun. And doing projects like this is like, it just speaks to it even more. And that's even more full circle. Like I think our generation is honing in on the idea and the mission of like keeping this going,
Yeah.
And I guess the mission behind the album is that it's being played in people's houses in Louisiana and across Louisiana. But it is kind of cool. At least it'll be in the permanent archives of the Library of Congress.
That's incredible.
That's a huge thing. Yeah,
it's huge. It's incredible. And honestly, like watching the documentary. Again, we're so honored to be part of it. But watching it back to back with the older 70s documentary. Can you remind me the name?
Oh, from Andre Gladue.
Yes, Gladue. Oh my goodness, it was beautiful because he was doing what y'all are doing, which is trying to document this thing that is existing, and he documented the language, but then also just the people playing the music and the cultures coming together. And I think full circle here with Supernova and like my role at the Greenway, it's like I want a diverse palette of music of artists that maybe didn't get a chance yet, and then they can go on and like hopefully play bigger festivals. And through that, it's all community driven work, right? It's like uplifting the people that are trying to do it differently and fun and in their own way,
I think about the mound that y'all built in respect of like the indigenous history of Louisiana. That's
absolutely.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's if you haven't seen it yet,
where's the mound located?
It's on Galvez in the Greenway, right by the sunflower, the 19-foot sun. It's called kettle flower. But yeah, it's an indigenous mound, and these tribes came together that originated here in New Orleans and Louisiana in general, and they put their hands in the clay together, and community members even came out from the neighborhoods and built it up with them. But it's a staircase, and you can actually see a beautiful, like, the skyline of the city from the top of it. And yeah, it's on the Greenway now permanently, which, it's just, that's another, part of the history that is the space itself. Speaking back, we're bringing
Touching
it back
to
the beginning of where are we standing? So
it's fantastic.
I love all your work, just tying us all back to past and present and keeping it all. But one other thing I was thinking about with your band, you guys played at Lafitte Greenway's 10th anniversary.
Yes, and that was like a fun moment because I got to put both hats on at the same time. But yeah, we wanted to kind of throw the Greenway a birthday party, and what better way to do it with like a concert and an art market. And so we Sweet Crew joined forces with the Greenway, and we did a beautiful concert, and we raised some money for the space. And a lot of people think we get a lot of money from the city, and that's just not true. We rely on grant writing and individual and corporate sponsorships. And so but this was like a new idea, and I think it's a fun idea, and we can change it up, do it again with a different band and every year, but the birthday being the thing that started it,
So yeah, one of the things thinking forward, so y'all have done 10 years for the next 10 years, what would y'all like to see happen for the Lafitte Greenway?
Yeah, I think we do a lot of green infrastructure projects and environmental work, and I think more of that is very important in living with water. We're also, it's strange how the milestones happen, but we're 10 years with the Greenway, 20 years after Katrina. Like, how are we living with water, And so we're going after grants that help us implement more green infrastructure throughout the space. And because we're a linear space, there's ways that we can help mitigate flooding in the neighborhoods. And we're already doing that with bioswales and tree plantings. We've planted 565 cypress trees. And we have a goal of 1,000, partnering with Soul, sustaining our urban landscape. They're reforesting all of New Orleans with beautiful cypress trees and stormwater management process. But if we get to our 1,000 tree goal, like, each of those trees, one 7-year-old cypress tree holds 880 gallons of water, and they're already working 3 years in. You can see it when it rains. It's like a pond out there. And so we're basically recreating the swamp that existed before us, And so that kind of work, I can't wait to see more of that. And truly, like, allowing the Greenway to be a facilitator to living with water and flooding in New Orleans, and how we do that, And then on top of that, I think what we want to see is to finally complete the trail. It was supposed to be 3.1 miles. It's 2.6. The city ran out of money in the beginning, and now we are on track to finish it. It'll connect to Lakeview and City Park and Delgado area. And so we'll be connecting 7 neighborhoods, plus really because it will be going right in front of the RTA Transit Center. So people getting on the bus and biking, and, it's going to connect all kinds of folks. And so, and all of those business and that economic development is going to be thriving as well. There's a brewery over there. There's Rosedale Restaurant. There's other businesses that built there 10 years ago thinking they were going to have a 3.1 mile linear park. And so we're finally doing that for them and the neighbors. The neighbors can't wait for it. It's just another way to connect to the rest of the neighborhoods throughout the city.
I live in that area, so I'm hoping it'll entice like someone to redo the buds, and
Absolutely.
What will happen to Mofo and like that space, like what will now come knowing that that
and
Greenway.
Actually, already I kind of have a little like in and secret, not really secret, but like some business owners, some local legendary business owners, re-energizing that space, like those older buildings like Bud's Boiler and the Mofo and the old Burger King right there.
That's another one, yeah.
And they're like local, beautiful business owners that know how to do it right, and I think will bring even more of that economic impact later in the coming years. So
I love that.
exciting.
My
Fantastic.
wallet and my belly are ready. Let's Well, cool. How can people support and get involved with the Greenway?
Yeah, so you can go to LafitteGreenway.org, become a member there. Any dollar amount makes you a member. We love to keep it, equitable and for everyone. So any dollar amount, but starting at $10 goes a long way. And so if you become a one-time annual member and renew it every year, we rely on individual sponsorships like that, or individual giving, and then corporate sponsorships. If you're a business that is near the Greenway and you see any of the impact, there are plenty of options as a business owner of like getting your name out there through our trail banner program. And we do like business spotlights. And so if you are out there and you're a business and you love the Greenway, it's helping your life and businesses, there's always corporate sponsorships on our website as well, LafitteGreenway.org.
Well, we like to end the episode with a fun question.
Okay.
So this one's fun question is, what is your favorite park in the world?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I'm biased, right?
If you have to pick two,
Besides
you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's so funny because as a park lady now, I've gotten to see all over the country through park conferences and things. But I still think it might be City Park in New Orleans.
City Park?
It's so beautiful. And I also have I'm a nostalgia kid, like with things like before Katrina, we lost everything in Katrina. And so I have fond memories as a kid going to City Park and going to Storyland and all those things. So I think I know it's so silly because I've been to a lot of parks throughout the country, and I'm still going to come back to home on this one. So Lafitte Greenway and City Park.
Nice.
I'm going to pick Tower Grove Park in St. Louis.
Nice.
It's got City Park vibes of like big oak trees, some like historical buildings and like pavilions, and it's just like huge and just like a lot of fun.
Love it.
I guess I'll do a little homage to my French husband. I love the Jardin de Luxembourg in Paris. And it's just like perfect what you imagine like a French garden would look like. And it's ginormous and it's beautiful. And yeah, I would go there after school and go study there. And it was pretty amazing.
Sounds romantic.
Yes. Well, so, yeah.
Cool.
And that's also where Rudy and I had our first date.
So extra special. All right. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful.
Thanks for listening to Missions Bayou, powered by Comfy Stone. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow the podcast wherever you listen. And if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment, letting us know your thoughts and who you'd like to hear from next. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.